What is up, guys? This is Archdraken again, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Mesa. And oh man, do I hope there's a Mesa Prime around the horizon. But let's just go ahead and just take a look at her abilities. So we got Ballistic Battery, Shooting Gallery, Shattering Shield, and Peacemaker. But what you really see her use is Peacemaker. So today I'm going to be doing a general, and when I say general, I mean 5 or 6 Forma Mesa. Now, I know it seems like a lot, and it is, and it's a lot of grinding, but once you get there, Mesa is one of the strongest people that you can possibly use, minus the whole being super squishy thing. Now, what I personally use Mesa for is the index, and I always request that somebody has a Frost, and since Frost was opened out of the vault, just like a couple of other members like Ember and Loki, Frost should be pretty much easy to get for most people. Now, I just have them put a bubble around me in the index in a corner where I can get all enemies coming from each individual side. If it's the mission where there's a tunnel in the center, I stay in the center. If it's the mission where it's wide open and 2 perches on the center edges, that's what I stand on up in there. Now, my damage multiplier is 3, my field of view is 15, and my energy per second is 3.75, which isn't very much, but it still feels like it goes by pretty quick. Now, the other 2 things that you can use is obviously the Ballistic Battery, which is when activated, this power stores damage caused by guns. When triggered again, that damage is channeled through the next gunshot. Now, that can be really good as long as you keep on going in and out of the Peacemaker ability, which you're going to have to do for various reasons, and I'll show you guys why. Shooting Gallery and Shattering Shield, you can have those on, but what I normally find, and especially when I'm doing index missions, is when I activate the second and third ability, it actually puts more of a target on my Warframe, which I don't really like. So I use them sometimes, but it just kind of depends. And if you want a build for those specifically, considering the range is very low for these, it's just kind of up to you. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into the build. And this is what I'm working with. Now, the arcanes, don't worry about those. I don't know how they affect it. I haven't tested it. I have a feeling that I really just want to go probably energy and defense with Guardian and Energize. I just don't have them equipped. Let's go ahead and start with Pistol Amp. Now, your Peacemaker ability will grab additional damage buffs by the mods you have equipped on your secondary weapon only. Also, if you have a secondary weapon that has 2 secondaries instead of 1, like an AK weapon, then it will do I believe it does a passive ability, which gives you more health. But you have to, I think you just can't equip like a primary or a melee, and I can't entirely remember, but we can always look that up in the wiki. So I am doing 200% strength, just an even number. The range 91, I would always love it to have more range. Sometimes I throw on Cunning Drift for the range instead of the Power Drift, just to get a little bit more distance out of it. You just kind of have to make your own judgment call when it comes to that. Now, Fleeting Expertise. This is one thing where I definitely recommend that this is an R4, not fully maxed Fleeting Expertise, for 2 reasons. One, you're already at 175 efficiency, which is the max. So if you go to 60%, then you're doing a negative 60% duration, and that's not the greatest of options. The Narrow-Minded, again, pretty much the same thing. 81% duration and ability range of 54%. I like to keep this more of a hybrid than geared towards just Peacemaker. It has the ability for Shooting Gallery and Shattering Shield to be not too bad. Let's see. And I'll go ahead and show you guys real quick. So I'm looking at 39 and 47 seconds. Not too bad. Now, one thing that I do want to show you guys is when you're in your Peacemaker mode and you're shooting enemies, what you see around you, and here, let's go ahead and simulate real quick, and I'll show you guys the other builds. Let's go ahead and go over here. And I am invincible, and these are 90 enemies. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, as you can see, as I'm killing these enemies super quick, the screen itself isn't blurry around the edges. That's actually the motion blur in the options. And as you fire, the radius or the area of view for destructive power gets pretty small. And it drains energy. So let's go ahead and jump into options. And then we're going to go to, let's see here, I believe it's in display. Here we go. So it's motion blur. So this little guy right here, if you have it on, you're not going to be able to see anything. It's going to blur out everything else except that tiny little circle. And I find that very annoying. So go ahead and turn that off. Yes, I want to keep the changes. Alright, now as you saw, those were 90 enemies. I just kind of blew them out of the water. But what the other thing that you're going to have to take a look at is the secondary weapon. Now this is currently what I'm using right now. Yes, I have a ribbon for fire rate, reload speed, and crit chance. The only two that would probably help out would probably be crit chance. But I'm trying to roll it to get a better version. And before I get that, I kind of want to show more of a cheaper version. The only weird ones are going to be the Prime Target Cracker for critical damage and Prime Pistol Gambit for critical chance. These are a must. The higher the ranking on each one of these mods, the better this overall situation is going to be. And then I throw an Auger Pack as well for additional 90% damage, Lethal Torrent for more multi-shot and barrel fusion, Hornet Strike, and then you can obviously change the elementals. Now, status chance, I'm not too worried about. I'm looking at more of raw power. And you can always throw on like primed heated charge depending on what kind of elemental damage you're doing against two. I mean, if it's for the corpus or the index, I mean, you can pretty much choose the element that works for that. I usually just use it on corrosive just because it does damage to a wide variety of stuff. Alright, now what I want to show you guys is, let's go ahead and change these, make sure everybody's dead. And let's go ahead and go up to 155, because that's what we really want to know, is how powerful she can be. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And as you can see, most of the enemies that I have down here are pretty generic, but they're all Eximuses, and they're all at 155. So we're looking at like heavy-duty enemies. Make sure we have this on. And usually, I usually almost always throw on Ballistic Battery just because it scales up. And then we're just going to go ahead and just blow these guys out of the water. And like I said, it's so much easier to make sure there's no motion of blur. And just look at that. Look at these numbers. What am I dealing with? Oh, he's dead. Sometimes, and this happens sometimes, when you do enough damage with the fourth ability Peacemaker, the enemies will actually stick around standing up because you're doing damage to knock them back if they haven't fallen down yet. So they kind of get stuck there a little bit in the simulacrum. It doesn't happen too much in the in-game play, but it does happen. Now, the other thing you want to take a look at, and I'm going to go ahead, blah, 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 blah. Get rid of those guys. I'm going to throw in, let's just throw in two of these guys, and let's go ahead and simulate them. Nullifiers. What a pain. These guys are definitely a pill. And as you can see, the nullifier does nothing. So what I recommend for people who do have it is Zenistar. Go ahead and throw that baby out. Stand fairly close to when they do come at you. Zenistar is one of the few things that passively will just take out the shields. Now that I'm in Peacemaker mode, I pretty much just have to wait them out. When are you going to get over to where I am? Let me move back. So, actually, let me jump up here. Wow! Come on. I'll go ahead and rethrow the Zenistar. And it does ricochet off of their shields. Really? You guys gonna play ball? I'm gonna go ahead and take out the shields. And then just decimate them real quick. So, I mean, if you're playing solo or with one person, usually I like someone who can protect Mesa is ideal if you're playing with the group. and you have a good Mesa. Now I know that she is very expensive when it comes to Forma, but she does damage like no one else does. Now, I'm looking, 6 extra capacity? I mean, you could always throw, if you really wanted a cheaper build, what you could do is go ahead and use something like Steel Charge, where it has a polarity of 9 and a V slot, and something like this would add a little bit more. Now, Pistol Amp is kind of a gray area. If you care about more damage, and since you saw how much damage it does to 155s, that's where you can play around with it a little bit. And Steel Charge would help the Zemistar, for instance, but it's just doing more damage. And I do have a Zemistar build, if you guys want to go ahead and take a look at it. It's built specifically for the disc portion. There's a couple of mods that aren't affected by the disc, which is weird. But I usually just leave on this. And then for Cunning Drift, you can always, if you don't have the spot open, you don't have the platinum, or you just don't have enough spots, I mean, you're looking at quite a bit of give. So the ones that are going to cost the most are obviously going to be Transient Fortitude, so you're going to need a dash for that. I would highly suggest at least 1D polarity for the Narrow-Minded, and Flow. Those are in continuity, we're going to be the primary ones that you're really going to want to have equipped right off the bat. Let's see, nope. Oh, where did I put that mod? Where is Cunning Drift? There it is. I'll put that back on. In 106, 6% above the normal range is actually pretty good for Mesa. You don't have to worry about it. The most important thing is the efficiency. That is key. I would say range, even though it doesn't show that I haven't very much. But this is the build that I usually run with when I go to Index. So just have someone protect you, whether it be a Gara Shield, or, I mean, I prefer a Snow Globe from Frost. You can do a Navara Invisibility, or something of the sort to keep Mesa protected, since she is the squishy one. Now, that is all I have for today on Mesa and the AK Stiletto. And yes, I know I said that wrong, but that's just how I like to say it, because I'm a weirdo, and I have my own issues. So, if you guys like the video, please hit a like and subscribe. And if you guys have any recommendations for other builds, whether it be Warframe or weapon, please let me know. And as always, you guys be good and be careful. Peace out.